Aloha, good afternoon. My name is Kamekona. I am running for Maui County Council, Kahului seat. With me is Stan Franco. The reason why we are doing this video is because one of my platform issues is affordable housing. And I know Stan has been working on affordable housing for many years. So I would like to get his opinion. So as many questions as I can ask him, if he can answer, the better for all of us. So at this time, I would like to introduce Stan Franco, have him speak a little bit about himself and how long he has been in this affordable housing issue. Stan?
Hi, I'm Stan. I've been in the business of talking about affordable housing for over 10 years. When the Catholic Church used an old church on Pu'unene for a homeless shelter. So I've been interested in homelessness and housing since 1986. I've had several organizations that I've been involved with over the years. The concern is that we're not building our homes for our local people. We are building for others. And others are buying because they can afford it and our local people cannot afford it. So that is what we're doing, and currently we're very excited because in this current funding stream, the budget, there was money put in to develop an affordable housing plan, and that is to us the way we have to go, because right now we're going helter-skelter as to how we're developing, and we're not, as I mentioned, developing for our local people. So we need to do something about this, and you'll have an opportunity when the plan gets rolled out to make your comments as well. So just a little bit about myself. Lifelong resident of Maui, a haiku boy. I grew up in haiku, and now currently living in Wailuku, where I was born. So I'm glad to be back home.
Mahalo, Stan. Mahalo for that short bio. So, everybody talks about affordable housing, but nobody does anything about it. And that's why I want to sit here with Stan and get his mana'o on what we need to do to put into action and start getting affordable homes built. Prior to us coming on, Stan and I had a conversation regarding affordability, the definition of. For me, as I have mentioned to many people that I have spoken to, $600,000 is not affordable for me. I am looking at $300,000, maybe $350,000 max for our people, because our living wages are not comparable to a $97,500 AMI. So what can we do to make houses truly affordable for the residents of Maui? Now, I also know that Stan and his associates put together an RFP, a request for proposal, for the housing plan, the affordable housing plan that he just mentioned. And that's why we're here, is because I want Stan to give us a little insight on that plan and what it looks like. So, Stan, can you talk a little bit about that plan?
Okay, just a little bit of history. In 2017, we approached the council that was at that time was in office, and we asked that this plan be created. And monies were granted, but the plan was not created. We got another study. Interestingly, the study said we need to have an affordable housing plan. And the reason we need an affordable housing plan is we don't know where we're going. We're not involving the county in any decision-making processes of developing the lands that we have. So we're asking private developers and then putting requirements upon them. And most of the private developers said they cannot build at the kind of requirements, I guess, that we are putting on them. So we got to find a balance so that we can, and for us, we want to see the county more involved in the people's lives around affordable housing. The county has, the money that we could use for buying land, for example. The county doesn't have the land that's needed to build housing. They can put parameters on how that should be developed. And the other thing too is, besides buying land, we got a lot of areas here on Maui that don't have the electricity, the water, the roads, and everything else to develop. We have a whole bunch of people up country that cannot develop their lands because, one, they don't have a water meter. Number two, it's so expensive to bring in water lines and sewer, waste, electricity and all those expenses. So it is really bad on Maui, and we're not building. We keep on talking, like Carol Lee said, about affordable housing, but we're not building it to the affordability of how are people going to pay for it. And like Carol Lee, I believe we're looking at 350,000 as a point of where we should be building. Talking about the affordable housing plan now, the reason that we have been pursuing this is that it will give us a roadmap as to where we're going to build, how much it's going to cost, how we're going to get the money to build it at that price, what kind of materials we're going to use, what kind of labor costs we're going to be involved with. In other words, it gives us some answers as a county on how we're going to take care of our local people, which, in my opinion, have not been cared for by this county for the last 50 years. So we need to change this, and that's why the Affordable Housing Plan for us is the main document to help us change it.
And when, Stan, was that Affordable Housing Plan put in place? When was it written?
Well, it was, we sent a proposal to the county council, and the county council approved our proposal and asked their staff, OCS, to come up with their version of the RFP. And so they created that. And the nice thing about it is we had a couple of conversations with them as to what we wanted to see in the plan. And so that's been incorporated. I think right now, my understanding is Hawaii Community Assets and a Honolulu firm, I think, I'm not sure what the other firm, but Hawaiian Community Assets have been awarded the plan, and I think they're working on the contract with the county right now. Hopefully, I'm hoping that by summer of next year, we'll have this plan to lead us into the future as to where and how we're going to build the homes that our people need.
So the plan that you and your associates have put together just recently was submitted to Maui County Council, and the Office of Council Services did a contra RFP to what you guys had submitted. But the information for that, did that not come off a previous plan that was written in 2019?
There's no previous plans that have been written, and that's the problem. Even like I mentioned, the last study that was done by the council was supposed to be a plan, but they created a study. And even that study says we need a plan. So this is really the first time that we are so close to getting the plan done. And I think it's with very reputable people. Hawaiian Community Assets have been here for a long time, and we trust their workings, or their what they can do. And so I think we're going to have a wonderful plan, and they will be talking to the community about the plan so that the community can have their input into the plan. So I think all around, I think it's really, I'm very excited about it.
So in that RFP, that request for proposal that was submitted to the county, what I read, the median rent in Maui County was $2,334. That's the median rent. The median home sale price was $819,500. $819,500. Definitely not affordable for our people.
Well, again, Carol Lee, we've got to go back and say, how are we going to do this? The prices are very expensive, no doubt. So that's the problem.
Yeah, very true. I also read in that RFP that was submitted by your group or Hui, that there are about 16,000 short-term rentals, STRs, 16,000 that were grandfathered in. Can you explain that process? How did that come about?
Okay, I know very little about the process of how that came about, but there's a reference to the Montoya list. Montoya was a court counsel at that time, and he wrote an opinion, and the opinion was that our condominiums that were built in the 70s and 80s were all grandfathered in for short-term rentals. So a lot of our condos in Kihei and Lahaina got granted the status of allowing them to do short-term rentals. So I think that's the real majority of the 16,000 you're referring to. Now, the Montoya list could possibly be changed by legislation, and that may be something when you get elected that you could work on.
Most definitely, because I don't think we need that many short-term rentals here when we are in a total lack of affordable housing. Also in that RFP I read, there's 37% of home sales are to out-of-state business investments and or vacation homes. Totally unacceptable and outrageous in my opinion. Don't you think?
Well, yes, but we got to figure out a legal way how we can make preference for our local residents when we build these homes, because we're part of the United States. It's a little bit difficult, and we've got to put our head together so that we can make it happen, because it doesn't make sense. We build affordable homes that our people can afford to buy, and we have competition from people from the mainland.
Yeah, agreed. So, Stan, I have a curiosity question for you. Rumor mill has it, and it's actually going crazy, and I understand there's even a commercial that talks about it. There seems to be talk that there's no money for the county to do the affordable housing, that the budget is lacking. Is that true?
Let me answer this way, Carol Lee. For too long, we have not put enough money into affordable housing. The county has not taken initiatives to develop affordable housing for our people. So we're in this bad condition that we have now. Moving from 2% to 3%, there's so much little money, as you mentioned, the 10,000 homes that need to be developed. It's really a minor change. It's not like it's earth-shaking that you're going to... I think we're talking about $4 million, basically. And so it's not substantial with the need is there that has been talked about. So I think even the mayor, when he proposed his mayoral budget for this current fiscal year, had asked for 4%. So why is such a problem from 2 to 3%? Now, the other thing I want to share about this is I'm really angry about this. I'm very angry about this. Because government seems to say it's their money. This is the government's money. No, property taxes come from the people. That's their money. If you don't want to spend a few more dollars to help people to get into housing, and the people are crying out to us, all of us, and especially to our government leaders, that affordable housing is needed, what are we doing? Who are we spending the money on if we're not spending the money on our own people? Okay. And to me, doesn't make any sense at all. So anytime they're saying that it's too small, too expensive, where are we going to spend the money? What will be eliminated? If you go from 2 to 3%, they're not even saying that. Because they can't say it. Because again, the money is available, Right now, I don't know what will be, and with COVID-19 coming along the way as to how it's going to affect our revenues. But the percentage is so minor to the total need. And we as a county and our leadership has failed us, our people. And I'm very angry about that.
But there's got to be a little bit of give and take, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, the council gave the 3%, right? So people got to understand they need to give too, right? They need to understand that we're giving both sides to make this a reality, correct? So are there any other obstacles out there that are stopping us from getting to this reality? Or is it just the budget like everybody else is saying?
No, there's no other obstacles. It's our decision as a county how much money we're going to put into a fund to build the housing that our people need.
Agreed.
And until we put enough funds into it, we're never going to build 10,000 homes for the next 10 years. Now we're asking those homes to be built in the next 4 years. So it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you, Stan.
Thank
you for that. Appreciate it. So can you explain what is deed restriction? What does that mean, a deed restricted affordability? I read that, but I don't understand what that is. Can you explain that to me?
Okay, so in the Residential Workforce Housing Policy 2.96, it requires that if the developer is going to be using the workforce housing policy, building between 80 and 140%, they are required at different price ranges to put a percentage of time, the deed restriction. I think it's 5, 8, and 10 years on ownership lots. So that requires that when the people cannot sell or resell, they could, I guess, but they would have to go to the county. The county could buy back the lot from them, and you got to figure out the percentage of how you're going to do that, appraisals and all this kind of stuff. So I won't bore you with that, but that's what it means, is that the county has requirements, restrictions on when the person can sell. If they're selling before the time it ends for their property, then they have to sell it back to the county.
Okay. I think I've heard about that, where you cannot sell it, like if you buy a house and you have to keep it for like 10 years before you can turn it around.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So another question I have for you. What is the current percentage of affordable units required under Maui County Code 2.96?
Okay, that got changed, I think, in 2014. It was 50% in the original law, and now it's 25%. But they did change, besides the percentage, at 50% was total units for the development. So in other words, you have 100 units, 50 units would have to be built at workforce housing standards. Today, it's 25% of the market units only. So when you compute that, the percentage is down to about 20% instead of 25. So, and again, because 80 to 140%, most of our people cannot buy, even when you look at the affordability of it, and you look at what has been built, like you said, it's in a $600,000 range. And so even if you called it, you can't even call it affordable, it's workforce housing.
So in the RFP I read, May of 2020, the current Maui County AMI was at 97.5. AMI is the area median income, right? That's what the Department of Housing and Human Concerns uses to determine the percentages that you're talking about, right? The 80%, 100%, 140, below 80, right? So can those AMI levels be changed to make it comparable to the wages that we earn here? Because we don't earn what the states earns. In whatever job that we do here, we're probably getting maybe half of what they get in the States. And I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know for sure, but I mean, there's got to be a way that the AMI, it does not go straight across the board, no matter where you live, because they have to take into consideration we're not getting what we should be getting as far as wages go. We have to pay for the import of everything, yeah, building, supplies, all that. So none of that's being taken into consideration when they price houses to make it affordable for us. So at 97.5, can that be changed?
Okay, what you refer to, the 97,500, is at the 100% level of hot AMI, area median income. And, so again, it's really a high number. It was down to 83,500 last year, and it's like 14,000 more. How they figured that out is a question to me. So yes, I think it can be changed. To answer your question, I think it has to be done legislatively to make sure that, and we have to figure out something that really is a standard that can be, used, that has already been used somewhere. I'm sure this same question has come up everywhere else in the United States. So I'm sure that there'll be an answer to this question, and I'm hoping that comes true in the affordable housing plan that's being created.
Awesome. Prior to us coming online, I asked you about housing credits. Not a subject that you're too savvy on, but a question I definitely have. What is housing credits? How is it calculated? And how is it utilized? Is there a time frame that it has to be used by? Is it something that gets used like if a hotel wants to do an expansion and they're adding like, say, 300 rooms, and their hotel is, say, in Lahaina, but they're going to sell, I guess, their credits to somebody that's going to build affordable housing in Wailuku. Is that a possibility? Is that something that can be done? Or can we just housing credits? I mean, I think it's something that really benefits the developer more than us.
Well, to try to answer your question, because as I told you, I'm not pro housing credits. Well, there are different credits. The one we're talking about comes out of the Residential Workforce Housing Policy 2.96 of the County of Maui. What really happens is, if the standards are like 80 to 140%, you're going to build, like say, the county might say, okay, 30% of the homes you got to build from 80 to 100%. So what if you put 50% in that bracket? So you went over and above the requirements. So that's how you get a tax credit. Now, a lot of developers that do that, they have these tax credits available to them. And when somebody wants to build, like say in Makena, and don't want any affordable housing, not affordable, workforce housing to be put in there, they will check you out as a contractor and say, can you sell me those credits? I'm buying the credits for you. And then the McKenna development will turn that into the county Maui and say, okay, we bought these credits, so therefore we don't have to put in any workforce housing into their development. Then they can sell to all the rich people they want to, because there's nobody there that's going to be poor. It's all going to be rich folks.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, can you explain the 201H that I hear people talking about? It's referred to as fast tracking.
So basically, it's a state statute, and like you said, it's fast tracking. You can get exemptions for doing roads and all these traffic studies and everything else. And once it's approved by it's a proposal that's made by a developer to the County of Maui. So the County of Maui administration can accept it or reject it. And if they accept it, then it goes to the council for action. The council is restricted to 45 days to take action. I know a lot of our council members have been saying that it's too short a time to really study, the kind of the projects that are coming through. So for other people in the council, I think it's been very difficult. We might want to reconsider or try to get to the state legislature to maybe do some changes in the law to make it not so, maybe change the 45 to 90 days to give the council more time.
Okay, something to work on. Can you maybe clarify for me a rumor that I've heard, strictly rumor now? Developers say that they have to build their market homes first, their market value homes, in order to build the affordable homes. Does that make sense? Is that true?
I think it will depend on what the council conditions put on any kind of development like that. Most of the what I've seen and heard with the council, they will either want the affordables to be first, or they want it to be concurrent. The affordables with the workforce. That's what I know about that. I don't know if you wanted to ask more questions about that.
Oh, actually, to me, it just means it's just more commonsensical that if you build the affordable homes first, that 100% of it would get sold. Where if you did the market rate, you'd be lucky if you sold 5 out of 20. So what happens to the other 15? They sit idle, they don't get sold. What happens? So it's just something that I heard by the by, and I was just curious if you had heard or if you knew or could clarify that for me. That's all.
Well, the market homes are being sold today at the prices that, $600,000.
As part of the 37% home sales that are out-of-state buyers,
Probably,
vacation
yes.
rentals. Yeah, that's probably how they're getting sold, because it's not being sold by us.
There are a lot of people that are looking at Maui to come and live, because the mainland is really a scary place to live in because of COVID-19. So I'm hearing a lot of people making that change, selling everything on the mainland and coming to buy something here. So
unfortunately, you're absolutely correct on that, because I was at the Sunday market yesterday, and I had 3 people in a span of 4 hours come and tell me they just moved to Maui. 1 from Oregon, 1 from Washington, and 1 from Arizona, because they didn't like what was going on. And they're all flocking here.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got all these out-of-staters coming here, and we can't even afford to take care of our own people.
You're very correct.
So Maui County needs to really get on the ball. And community, I ask you, come November 3rd, vote. You don't necessarily have to vote for me. I'm not going to say that. But vote. Do your democratic duty, your civil duty, and vote. Don't stay quiet, okay? Because change needs to be made. I'm here to make a change for you. That's why I want to run, because affordable housing is an issue that I am very, very passionate about. And I would like to work with Stan and the group that he's been working with to make this a reality for us. Now, Stan and I have also talked before about the types of materials, building materials that could be utilized. Lumber, for some reason, is what the developers want to use. But there's alternatives. And for one of my platforms, reforestation, we can grow bamboo, we can grow hemp. Hemp has the 8 to 14 week maturity rate, and it can be utilized as materials for building. With the 46% increase that Young Brothers just got, guess where that's going to trickle down to? To us, the consumers, in everything that we have to pay for. So the affordable housing that we're looking at ain't going to happen if all that has to be imported in. We need to do something about it, Maui. Let's grow. Let's make the change. Right, Stan?
Right.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
As I mentioned early on, I'm very excited about we're getting in the bidder. I trust the bidder to create an affordable housing plan. They're very pro community in the past, so I'm sure that they will bring in the community, and it's part of the affordable housing plan. I think they have to go to every district to get input from the people.
Input.
So I'm really excited this will happen. And then the question is how the policy will be implemented. And, right now, that's a concern for me. And we'll see, like you mentioned, who's elected to the council to make sure that the plan is implemented.
And that plan is on track, right?
On track, yes.
Right on. Okay. Thank you. So thank you, Stan, for doing this with me. I appreciate it. Thank you, community, for being here and listening to us. Thank you to our camera people, Daniel and Rose. And mahalo to my campaign manager, Claire Pana. So love you guys all. Check me out, votekamekona.com. Carol Lee Kamekona for Maui County Council on my Facebook political page. Ahui ho, aloha.